Hi, I'm in my car. Enrique Ashkabuk here. I'm a woman who rules with a new leaf. I just have something to share here. I made a meme. I found this picture online. I found this picture some time ago of with a hand holding a feather, like an eagle feather, and it's just a picture, and and I put in the and I put a caption, in the meme, Black Lives Matter. And with that, I've been getting a lot of responses in terms of somebody saying all lives matter, and I say that, and I would say that, yes, all lives matter, but that's not when we're saying Black Lives Matter, we're not excluding any other peoples here. We're including all oppressed peoples, all the people that face ethnic discrimination because of their ethnicity, and that ethnicity, the differences, this is the discrimination. That's the difference. The difference is that, this Black Lives Matter movement is just a name. Yeah, maybe it should have been called All Lives Matter, but this is just a bringing to light that there is a system that operates here, and where people are oppressed, and we're now in a time, in this age of politically correctness and being politically correct, or all of that stuff that goes along with that. This in this age, and where humanity and human rights violation are considered real atrocities, but that doesn't stop these things from happening. There's this idea in the mind of those that benefit off of years of, that live privileged lives, off of, people can say, oh, well, I didn't did that. That was my ancestors. Why don't you guys get over it? Get over it? Okay, well, I've walked down the road. I've been, I've suffered because of racism. I better turn on my car. So I suffered because of, I faced racism and discrimination. One day I was walking home from the store and just minding my own business and just walking down the road. And all of a sudden this police cruiser came up beside me. One of the officers in the car got out of this car, came up to me, grabbed my head, grabbed me and shoved my head against a brick wall, against this concrete wall, and threw me on the ground, and landed on top of me, and shoved me there, and then gets up, and then he and then I get up, and I'm all bleeding, with a big scrape here on my face. I have like a little discoloration scar on my skin because of it. But that was, I was able to use some makeup, and that fixed it for some reason. So, and, but anyways, with the police, after he knocked me on the ground and turned around, he looked at me, trying to instigate me or something. Thought I was gonna I didn't do anything. I just let him carry on, and there was people there. Some other people, like, there was no camera phones when that happened to me. But that's something that, or maybe that something that happened. That happened in 2000. Well, maybe there was camera phones, but no one around with a camera phone at that time to videotape that happened to me. And I'm not bitter about it, but this is the racism that is faced, that's going on. And right now, with George Floyd, this happening again, this is just the one thing to just tip the bucket, over. That one last drop to tip the bucket over, and all the water is splashing down. And that one drop to break the dam, and the whole dam broke open and is flooding, and in its wake, all this is happening. So all lives matter. Yes, I do say that all lives matter, but there is this, but the Black Lives Matter music, it's not about everybody. It's about those that are oppressed, that face ethnic discrimination based on their ethnicity, and their presumed ethnicity, or their presumed or for the color of their skin, for their heritage, whatever, for being born a certain color. That's the crime right now. That's the injustice that's happening, the discrimination. As a woman, as an indigenous woman, I have a lot of hurdles of discrimination that I have to face, that I go through, and that I experience. Another time, when the police come around and are involved in my situation, I'm not very friendly with the police. I get kind of standoffish and aggressive, and I just basically I don't trust police. And it's a lot of times, most of the times, I run into police officers that are white. There are Native, and there are other police out there, of other ethnicities, other ethnicities, but it's generally the Caucasian persuasion that of police that I've had dealings with that haven't been good. And that's the sad thing, when I'm walking down, and I'm afraid for my life because I'm a woman, for one thing. That's because, and I'm a Native woman, that's our women go missing and are murdered and killed. There's many times where I've gone missing and could have been murdered and could have been killed. Many times where I've been in situations where my life's been in danger, and that's and I can't call the police, because if I do, it could turn on me very quickly. And for one thing, for a lot of time, for most part, a lot of times, as a woman, facing these things, we're not even believed for the most part. It's always made to look like it's our fault. We put ourselves in a situation, like that's a discrimination. Is it the woman's fault that she's a woman, that I'm born a woman, so it's okay for a man to come and do whatever the hell he wants to me because he feels like it? Like this is the culture that we live in. This is the society, the culture that we live in. That lives don't matter, that people don't matter. So all lives, all people need to matter. And so when we say the Black Lives Matters, it's not about exclusivity or saying that only Black lives matter. It's saying that yes, Black lives matter too, because we've been struggling to have our place in this world, and kept out of it, kept out of the dining rooms, out of the drawing rooms, out of the places of leisure and comfort. We're made to struggle and fight and fight over crumbs, fight over bread. You know, the ones that are there's more than enough. More than enough. People that are, you know, here in Canada, like, we have food going to waste, going into garbage, food, all kinds of food, and there's people starving. And we let these animals die rather than kill them and dry them, you know, dehydrate them, process these foods. You know, it's like, oh yeah, fresh food. But you know what? The preserving of food, you know, Creator gave us a way to preserve food. That's why there's salt. That's why there's salt everywhere, all over the world. You can find, no matter where you go in the world, you can find salt. And salt is a good preservative. Everywhere you go in the world, you can find sage, which is something that is something that we knew as Indigenous people kills a lot of pathogens and bacteria in the food. It's why it was used in the drying, and is used in the cooking, and used in the drying. And when it's burnt, it clears a lot of toxins out of the air. Like if somebody, you know, I know it's a smoke, but the crazy thing is that the sage smoke burns a lot of toxins in the air, and gets rid of it, and then it falls to the ground and dust, and you sweep that up, and it becomes ash, or you wipe down your walls. It's pretty kind of neat, you know. We have our ways, and the preserving and this processing of food, you know, causing and making preserves and preserving food. These animals that are being euthanized and killed and rotted and thrown away. And I remember one time when there was the stuff, they had an overflow of food, and I just remember rails and rails and rails and rails and rails of food rotting in trains, on rail trains, just rotting. Instead of that food being processed and made good and given and distributed around the world, it could be distributed. If we can't use it all, then we can save it and distribute it to where there's more than enough. There's more than enough food for everywhere to be. No need to have food. We should not waste, not want not. We should be not wasting. We have a waste culture. This system is built on waste. It's not built on conserving. The things that are valued are unbalanced. The things that need to be, you know, life things are more valued than life and people. And that's the argument. That's the point. That's the reason why I was saying Black Lives Matter. It's not about, you know, oh, what about us? I'm a native. and I'm indigenous, and I face discrimination a lot. You know, I can't even go into a store without being followed around and being, asked 20,000 times, do you need help? Like 2 seconds. Oh, you need help? And by the second, do you need help? I say I'll call you if I need help. You don't need to be here following me around the store. When I need help, I will call you. And, and you're gonna stop me from stealing? Like right now, like look at this. Looting and stealing in the stores is happening all over the place. This is the chaos that is ensuing. You keeping people out. No, they're gonna go in and get it. You wanna create wants in these people. Well, now you created. Now you have to deal with the consequences. Like I'm not for this anarchy that's going on and this chaos. Like I'm not about endangering lives. I love all, and I believe that there needs to be peace. But right now, if we're going to have a systematic change, and if things are going to change, well, we need to nominate leaders in local, in municipalities, in our wards, our police chiefs, our commissioners, our governors, our premiers, our members of parliament. We need to nominate those and have them elected. And we need to have our people that, that support indigenous and black and all, and the ones that are discriminated, the peoples of whose ethnicities are discriminated from these European colonizers. And that's the reality of it. The reality of it. That's the reality of it. Is that this capitalistic imperialist this country has been built on lies and deceit and corruption, on the backs of slaves, on the exploitation of people killed, murdered, exploited, treated like animals, not even treated like beasts of burden, treated like an ox, I mean, like even the animals, I'm telling you, even the animals were treated better than the slaves. Like, go figure that. The animals were treated better than the slaves, and more better than the slaves. Like, yeah, we do really need a real commander-in-chief. I wrote that in a post somewhere. We need to have indigenous leadership. These governments should be answering to indigenous leadership, should be in consulting indigenous leadership. The Supreme Courts that are here on our lands should have indigenous and should be submitting to indigenous leadership. This government should be submitting to an indigenous leadership. We were here first. This is our lands, and we were still here. Who cares if you want to label your quantum blood levels? That's you want to create that division. You created that division. The eugenics, the systematic sterilization of our peoples, the keeping our people from studying in universities to be doctors and lawyers, and making it impossible for indigenous peoples to afford. It's like, yeah, we're supposed to have education, and yeah, we have here in Canada you can go to school. But you have to jump through all these hoops and hurdles, and you can only go to school for so long. You're only given so much, and you still need to apply for loans, and there's still student debt. There's no need for there to be education. It should be something that everybody has access to. If people are given the freedom to pursue their desires, to pursue their dreams, our society I had my battery almost died. Sorry. Our society our society can do a lot better, and the fact that when our leaders do come up and do rise up, our oppressors will distract us from the real. They'll put something from their past that has happened, something or whatever, and will create a scandal or will create something to discredit them, and to make and to keep their power. They don't want to share their power. And right now, like, this is the scariest thing for these oppressors, for the colonized. The scariest thing that they would have is that we would unite, that we would come together, and that we would really rise up, and we would really have, a real coup happen here in our nation. Because we did have a great lifestyle, and there's no need for everybody to have everything they need. No need, like, for every home to have power, to not have power. When there's solar and wind, everybody can have it. They don't have to pay these big, huge, enormous power bills and have these big, huge power cords all over the place, polluting everything and causing all these power wires everywhere. Like, wireless technology exists. Yeah, we need to invest in it. We do need to make it safer and do research to make it safe and make it good and safe technology. Yes. Propelling rockets into space in a spaceship with a rocket, like like using all that fuel, like, we could be building space tethers, and that International Space Station could, these tethers can go up, and it could shoot, and you could consistently shoot stuff up, or people up on a tether, and that space station would come around, and every rotation of the Earth, these tethers, that space station would meet the tether, and getting the different things like that. These are things that really can happen. This technology is available, and they would rather say, "Oh no, we need jet fuel. We want to fuel the fuel." There's no need for these fossil fuels to be relying on dangerous nuclear energy. Fossil fuel, there are safer energies, safer, more viable, green, sustainable energy. Like, we could have a transit system here in Canada. Speed rail technology powers itself. It's green, requires no fuel whatsoever. There's no waste, no fuel waste, no fuel exhaust, nothing like that. It's just it's self-powered. It goes really fast, move people and things across a continent. Can you imagine going from BC, British Columbia, to Newfoundland in a day? That's what the speed rail, magnetic levitation, would do. Would get us across this country. It would take a day to get across this country. In a day, when it's built. And distances, from major cities would be cut short, and businesses could happen. And UV technology, having these scanning systems to going around, killing pathogens that are everywhere. Like, why are we in isolation? Why are we all isolated with, we can have wear masks and stuff. And this UV technology is there available to clean and disinfect. On the spot. It's not rocket science. And rocket science is pretty old technology when you think about it. Like, those rockets, those fossil fuel burning rockets is really old, outdated technology. We could have space tethers, and that would be so much better, so much faster, so much more efficient, and less dangerous. It's going to take a bit to build it, but you know what? They spent all this time to build this project, when they could have built a space tether and look into that. Look into doing something like that, and having a real house in the sky, because the orbit of the space station, which is really kind of neat. Because if you had another tether, when you think of like a weight, you know, when you have the top side and the bottom side when you're of the barbell. Well, just think of something like that, like in between, on the other side of the earth. You know, when you have something hanging from the ceiling, you have something hanging from the ceiling, and the thing is spread out across, and would be spread out across the whole, across the atmosphere, across the whole thing, and then you have something in the field, and that's holding the building. That would be holding the building. That's energy that can do that, and that's possible. This fossil fueling technology. This is old. It's gone. It's done. It is dead. It really is dead. Like, we really need to breathe life into our situation. And that breathing life comes from life. Like the sun brings life, the wind brings life, moves seeds around, brings life, water brings life. All of these, and energy, like the energy a tree gives, the breathing, all of this, all of these things that go around this earth moves. If we look and study, how nature operates and how Creator created these things and does these things and does amazing things, what can we do? We can do it too, because Creator says we're going to do greater, and we can do these things if we show them. Food. If we safely look into a way of cloning food and copying food, making the food, there's no reason for anybody to be starving when the research can go into that and developing food. People say, oh, no GMO, the genetically modified foods and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, genetically. Do more research. Like, find out what's going to happen, the cost. Like, this is the research, the innovations. I've never seen so much money spent into a vaccine, into innovating, and they're so close to having universal vaccine. Using bioengineering, and looking at our genetic code and our DNA and how it is. Looking at all that. This is our life. The river of life. Our river of life shows us, how to have life. And if we look at our river, our makeup, how we're built, how we operate, and what these researchers are doing, then we can build better health. We can clone our own organs. We can have good health. These are all things that we need to be working towards. And the Black Lives Matters, like this whole craziness that's going on right now. And there's a few people, that are like just causing a ruckus in these riots. And it's looking pretty organized, Like I'm like wondering where all these people are. That because the protest, the demonstrations are peaceful, and then the people that leave during the day, that leave at nighttime and go home and honor the curfews. And then there's all this mayhem. The National Guard being brought in, and Donald Trump saying it's time to dominate. Like, this is the policy. Donald Trump saying you have to dominate. Like, really, that's been the problem. There've been these domineering forces oppressing peoples for centuries. Here in this continent, on our lands. You know, this this anarchy. I mean, like, I'm not praising the anarchy, but you know, the coming together, the coming together in solidarity, and the looking for change. But there needs to be a strategy. And right now, the strategy of, you know, of this chaos, like Donald Trump, it seems to me, his tweets, his actions, his words, his innuendos, all these things that happen, that are going on in the background, seem to be instigating. Like, I don't know if that's him or what it is, but his words come out like instigate, brash, kind of rude, insulting. It's really not helping anything, or really doesn't make things, like, to quell a situation. Yeah, we need to stop the criminals that are taking advantage of the peaceful protests, of the demonstrations. And you know, this is all of this stuff that's happening. And even with because you know Donald Trump hasn't really said a whole lot. And that's because he's been busy in these OPEC deals, dealing in the OPEC with trying to get the oil back in oil. What are you gonna do about getting this oil back up and running? And you know, what are we gonna do about that? There was a whole meeting with OPEC and the deals, and them trying to get working on something in that. And that's where Trump was. Yeah, he may have been hiding out in his home, or you know, in his bunker, and all of that. But you know, this is all a distraction from all the stuff that's going on. The thing to distract us from the trade, from what's going on in China and the relationship and all that kind of stuff with China, and with China gonna come around, and you know, they have a army. China has a huge army force, police force, population, and this population could police the entire world. That's one thing that, you know, people don't understand, that China has been, you know, on this bid to, you know, own the world. And people, you know, these three nations working together to control all the world, to control all of us. And this is a distraction from all of that. They create this divide, create these lies. Meanwhile, they're all chummy, buddy. Let's see what we can do to create this chaos. Here we are in America, and we'll bring some sickness, and then, you know, economic collapse, and then you know, then and then see how much. Then they have to bring in the military, and then the people will rise because their freedoms are being challenged. Oh. Sorry, I flipped my camera on by accident. Yep. So this is really, all these things that are going on are things to just distract us from really what's going on in the world, because things in the world are still going on. Deals, boardroom deals, backroom deals. These leaders are still there making their deals, still making their plans, doing their things, creating this chaos, and here we are fighting amongst each other. Well, here, let's really get together and be united. And forget these, you know, let them jail those ones that are gonna create create pandemonium, and create the mayhem. These agents of jokers, like, you know, these ones that are going around stirring up this anarchy and creating these mobs, so to have these armies come in and create this system of martial law, and to create a police state, and to control the peoples and the populations, and distract them. But meanwhile, we should be uniting together and coming together. Let's elect local leaders wherever we are. We can rise up and nominate local leaders. We can impeach leaders that are not representing. We can appoint judges, professionals. We can do that. We can rise up. We can nominate our leaders, our professionals, our people, and we can start making changes, real changes. The only way that these changes are going to happen is if we get in there. We get in there and we do what we need to do, and we make the changes and get in there and vote and nominate leaders. Like, we have to nominate where are our leaders. Let's put them up there. Where are our professionals? There are many nurses and professionals, teachers, police. You know, we have many, and we should be electing these ones, and we should be promoting these people and putting them out there, because that's what's gonna create change. That's how we are going to change policies. That's how we're going to change legislation. We have to get in there. We need to be that Trojan horse. You know, they gave it to us. Here we are at the United Nations Declaration of Rights of Indigenous Peoples. They say that, yeah, there's a United Nations. Canada signed that agreement. And truth and reconciliation with the Indigenous peoples. Here. Say, invite. Say, here, you are our leaders here. Surrender your crown. Surrender your crown. Our leaders that are here right now should be surrendering their crowns, surrendering their leadership to the Indigenous leaders. That's what needs to happen. Surrender. All lives matter. The systematic. This is where the change in the system needs to happen. The grassroots, the change, the hiring, and the recruiting of blacks and indigenous to be the police that police themselves. Hire them, recruit them, train them to be our police. When we are here, if my uncle is there, you know, a police officer, and my cousin is a police officer, and my cousin's a elected official, and my uncle and my you know, this my sister's friend, my mom's friend is there running for you know, to be this. Yeah, I would support them. This is what needs to happen, is the surrender, the submission. This siege that's going on right now. Like the Creator says, let my people go. Surrender your crowns. Jesus says, lay your crowns at my feet. Well, here, surrender your crowns. Submit. Because, you know, Creator brought us here. We lived in the Americas for millennia in peace. And then Europeans came in 1492. And then that's when the world as we knew it ended. That was our apocalypse. That was when the promise, our blessings were stolen from us and taken from us. Stolen and taken. In the name of a man who said, "This is not how my kingdom comes." His message of peace and love and forgiveness is poisoned with greed and avarice, prejudice and hate, and gluttony, hubris, immorality. So here we are now. We're going to stick together, and we're going to we're rising now, and we're asking now, you know, it's time now to let our people go. This is indigenous emancipation. We are the new Israel. This is the promise, the prophecy coming to life. My birthday is on June 24th. I am a voice of the one calling in the wilderness, and I'm saying right now to our pharaohs, it's time to let our people go. Yeah. All lives matter. Black lives matter. Because until we acknowledge that Black lives matter, and until we acknowledge that all of those that face discrimination, that face persecution, face discrimination because of what they look like, because of their ethnicity, their culture, their heritage, because I don't know, their eyes look a little different, or yeah, that's because they don't have light skin and blonde hair and blue eyes or light skin. So I am saying let our people go, and yeah, all lives matter. But that doesn't. I'm going to continue to say, you know, that Black lives matter, because that's the point. The point here is not about, you know, the politically correctness of inclusivity and excluding everybody. It's not, because we're not. It's not about excluding brown people, native people, any kind of people. This is about the discrimination that all people, you know, who are discriminated against because of their ethnicity, heritage, their culture, their race, their sex, their gender, their lifestyle. All that discrimination and hate gets nowhere, does nothing except create more hate, more problems, more derision, and more chaos, and more hurt and pain. Only love can bring the healing. Only love can, when we replace that hate with love, and we educate and teach each other and understand each other. We can't hate when we understand and love. So, you know, aside from, you know, those few sociopaths out there and psychopaths, you know, we can love. Yeah. And, you know, nurture. Let's we don't need a den of snakes anymore. We don't need the den of snakes in our leadership anymore, because that's what this system of capitalism, this creates this division and this divide, and the the economic I can't find the word I'm looking for here. Not divide, but inequality. There you go. The economic inequality that happens and that exists, you know, even in genders, even in the roles. And right now, in women, there are women right now, you know, women's lives matter. Women's lives matter. Because there are many women out there that don't have a voice. That, you know, many women are forced, a lot of times are forced to choose between being a mother and being successful in their career. And, you know, a lot of times that is not something men have to worry about. They don't have to worry about whether they're going to be a father or they're going to be successful in their career. It's not really a choice. That choice is generally left up to the woman. If you want to be a mother, then you have to be willing to sacrifice your career and sacrifice your success and your financial stability. And you better find yourself a good person, you know, to provide. You know, I was seeing this thing here, and you know, I wanted to share one little thing, you know, that Hillary Clinton shared, and which is a really kind of neat idea when you think about it. You know, that men, you know, if you're a man and you're in business and you're in your office, like, how do you decorate your office? Like, this is something as simple as this. A man, if he decorates his office, he's told that he should have pictures of his family everywhere, all over the place. Because if he has pictures of his family all over the place, then he's seen as a good provider. A woman should redecorate herself. She shouldn't have pictures of her family all over the place. She shouldn't have as little as possible pictures of her family. Maybe one or two, maybe one picture, but you really shouldn't have pictures of your family. It's more inappropriate for a woman to have pictures of her family because it's seen as a distraction and she's not really fully focused. She's not considered a provider. She's considered distracted and not focused. Meanwhile, you know, that's I worked and I stayed home and I parented my kids for the most part when they were smaller because I didn't want them going into daycares or I wouldn't even hire a babysitter really, like, unless I had was there really with them. But yeah, I wouldn't put my kids in daycare. I didn't really like doing that because I was very nervous because they didn't have a voice. I didn't want them getting molested or abused and not being able to articulate it to me. And I wouldn't leave them alone with anybody until they can articulate with me. And I gave the names of and I told them the names of their of their vagina and their penis and their private parts. I would only let them keep them the proper thing, and I wouldn't let them keep any secrets. There's no secrets. There's no secrets. I don't care who tells you there's no secrets. Okay, mom, grandma, grandpa, uncle, anybody tells you to keep a secret, there's no secrets. Because that silence is what keeps these things from, it's what allows abuse to happen, you know. I was abused. I was molested. I was raped. In my as a baby, and as a child, and as a teenager, and as an adolescent, and from the time when I was 12 to 13, I was almost raped like almost every day, until I ran away. And it's not my parents' fault. They didn't know what was going on. I couldn't tell them. I didn't know. They and when because from things when I tried to tell them, I wasn't believed. No one believed me. I was the one accused. I was the one that was told that it was my fault, that I did it, that I asked for these things or whatever it is, and that I'm oversexed or whatever it was. All this kind of stuff. All this stuff. It was, for some reason, it was my fault. No, I don't accept that anymore, and I don't know, and I don't believe that. But that's why, I made sure, like, I broke that. I broke that curse. I broke that cycle. Like, that cycle, broken. I got married. My daughter got married. She has her grandchildren. Like, that unmarried, that curse broke in my family. Like, there's been a while, for the families that, they couldn't be married because there was a curse. And that curse was broken, and that cycle is broken. And that was the extra steps, the things that I did, the strategies I did to protect, to break that cycle from happening. I have the conversations, and I have the conversations with my kids, and I talk to them candidly and real. Like, I have real conversations with them. And, I'm pretty candid sometimes, and I don't know. Some people might think that, I'm inappropriate, but I'm open to having that discussion and that conversation and getting rid of that awkwardness and feeling awkward about talking about it, so it doesn't feel awkward, so that when something happens, that they're not scared to come and tell me. Like, I don't want them to be scared to tell me. I want to be able to have that conversation because, something happened to my eldest daughter, and she was afraid to tell me. And then the statutes of limitations to the person that had violated her had passed, and by the time I found out, and we got together and got charges and everything happened. Like, nothing, the guy got off. Like, really, what he did, like, he was a predator, and he preyed on my daughter, and our kids shouldn't be scared to come and talk to us, or feel awkward or feel nervous about it. We should be like, oh, when our kids are in trouble, they should be like, oh no, I need my mom. Like that George Floyd, right there, and he's down there on the ground at that moment. He's calling for his mom. Like, we need to be that safe place, and have that safe place. So, Jimmy Gwetch, for listening, and yeah, and I'm just gonna pray real quick right now. Creator, I just thank you so much for being an amazing creator. And I know right now that all the stuff that's going on is just crazy, and it's scary, and it's nervous, and it's just, but I can see it all, and I can know and trust. And my experiences with you, and the experiences that I have had, and for how you showed yourself and revealed yourself in my life, that I can trust your plan and your purpose, that none of this catches you by surprise. None of this, you know all what's going to happen before it's going to happen. You know all of these things. It doesn't catch you by surprise. And we're gonna just surrender our cares and our worries, and we can have peace in knowing that you're in control. At the end of the day, you're in control. It's only you that allows things to happen in our lives, and it is you that is there with us when we're going through things, and it is you that is our strength, being there with us. And thank you right now that for all of this stuff, grateful for all of this stuff, all of this change that is happening, because this is a change. This is a systematic change that is happening right now across the nations. That the hearts are being drawn and united, and hearts are being drawn to you, Creator. And you're showing yourself and you're moving in mighty ways. That this giant of discrimination, of racism, this giant, this Goliath is being taken down right now. We've had the tiny stone now, and this is the uprising, and the people are being encouraged because the giant is starting to come down. Now it's time to the giant is falling. Now it's time to cut off his head and put on a spike and say, see, you're defeated. And now for the oppressors, and this is where we are right now, and praying right now for the peace, for the good Samaritans to rise up, for us to strategize, and pray for leaders to rise up, leaders out of our own nations to rise up here. And you pray, Lord, that black leaders, indigenous leaders, that there be a change here as we elect our leaders, and ask Creator that you be with us and you move before us as we continue to move right in the right direction. Ask for your protection on those police officers, on the enforcers, and the first responders, and all of those that are out there doing their job to truly serve and protect. And just pray, God, for that peace that surpasses all understanding to come and enter in and move in the situation here across this continent, across this land, across the hearts and the minds. And then pray for the leadership and that the clarity of mind, and pray against the spirit of division right now. And just pray against that spirit of division, and we just call it out. Just pray against that spirit of division. Pray against the spirit of division and ask for your Holy Spirit to come and enter in, Lord. We just call out and cancel out any plans of the enemy to cause division and distraction. And we just ask, God, that we just ask, Creator, that you just come and move in. And we invite your Holy Spirit and your great Spirit to come and move in the situation and move in the hearts of minds, in the minds and hearts of men and women and people, and just ask, Creator, for unity, for a purpose and peace that surpasses all understanding, for your purpose, your plans. And just ask, Creator, that you would equip us and allow us to move and make decisions and make right choices and move in the right direction and move towards peace and health and prosperity and goodness and health and sustaining. You know, do not cast us from your presence, but renew a right spirit within us. Renew a right spirit within us. And just ask that you would that your word would go out and accomplish what it's going to accomplish and not come back void. That the peace that surpasses all understanding will just come and move. And that the spirit of death has come over, has passed over, and now it is a spirit of fruit, of life, of the harvest and reaping. There's going to be this is the harvest right now of peace, of understanding, of revelation, a new beginning, a new place, a new plane, entering into a new season right now of life and hope and springing forth. Creator, we just ask, Creator, that you just continue to move in these ways that you move these mountains. It takes the faith of the mustard seed to move a mountain. And we are, all your believers have that faith of the mustard seed, and we're moving against the mountain of prejudice and discrimination and oppression. asking Creator for you to come and move here and be here in our nation and moving. And thank you so much. Thank you, Creator, for all that you give us. Because this is the day you made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Yours is the kingdom and the glory forever. This is yours, planet. All of yours. Boss of it all. And just ask Creator that you just help us. Show us, reveal to us what it is we need to do and where we need to go. Chimigwech. Chimigwech. Miging. All my relations. Aha. Chimigwech.